Now we are in sort of a continuation of yesterday's episode. In fact, right now, YouTube will have just finished uploading the episode, and you guys will be watching it in about 25 minutes, those of you who watch it right away. So we're in some sort of weird time warp right now. Let's see if we can continue on. Now, if you remember, I don't mind if I get fingerprints on this side, but I don't want to get anything on this side. So, hence the gloves. Oh, I did vacuum. So, the inside of the case now is all vacuumed, and this is kind of slippery. I got to be careful I don't drop it. I don't think it'll break, but. Okay, and I don't care if I had greasy forehead marks on it here. Okay, and Tony's airplane is still clear. Well, that went better. Okay, well, here's hoping I didn't pick up too much on the bottom there, but I can't see anything with a light like this anyway, and that's all right. Now, did I forget anything? I don't think so. Well, I guess the next step will be to just clean the greasy forehead marks off of it, and I can't even see it. It must be there somewhere. And then we'll take the camera around the other side there and see what kind of reflection we're getting, from the window. That's going to be the fly in the ointment, but hey, that's the way it goes. Anybody that comes around and stands right here, they can see it real good. So, okay. And this is the view I get when I'm sitting at the table. In other words, the camera is sitting right on the brown cloth right now. Normally, right there where the camera's sitting, I've got the airbrush booth, the paint booth. But I don't think there's any use putting it or anything else back on the table here, because we're going to be wanting to have lots of room for when the hood comes. Hopefully, I'm hoping, in a couple of days. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll put important things on the table, like but otherwise I'm just going to sort of leave it the way it is. I don't have a whole lot model ship, the related stuff that we can do right now. Maybe later on we'll take a look when the light is different and see what the reflection is like off our case. But that's about all we can do right now. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes here. It's probably going to be a short episode. It is the next morning. The sun is coming from a much different angle than it was in our last shot like this. Now, I've got a polarizing filter. And I haven't used it for probably, I'm guessing 5 years or so. And let's just slip it on and see if that can get rid of the reflection off of the glass there. Now, when I first got this filter, I was outside shooting shots that involved clouds, and it really does change the sky. It darkens it, but it also brings the clouds out, and that's basically why I got it for outside shots. I found that it does not work well with a wide-angle lens, however. If you have your lens, like let's say you have an ordinary DSLR, full frame, it would be 50 millimeters or greater. If you start shooting wide angle, like this lens for instance, it goes from 16 millimeters wide angle right up to 35. It's still wide angle at 35. So I'm going to stop it down to 30 or twist it down to 35 millimeter, and then we'll take a look at that reflection over there. One thing I have found when putting on a filter of any kind is that I find that if I lay the camera on its back, then there's less chance of cross-threading it when you're putting it on. This was actually quite an expensive filter from what I remember. Now, you know how quite often when I do stuff like this live on camera, so to speak, and I haven't screwed this on for about 5 years. I put it on, just lay it down, just let the weight of the lens go on there. Now I know you can do it other ways too, but at least now I know for sure it's not cross-threaded. Okay. Now there's actually two separate rings. The one that screws into the lens here, and then the other one rotates so that you can rotate it around and get the angle just right to cut the reflected glare. Okay, let's stick this thing back on the tripod and see what happens. Okay, we've got major reflected glare right there now. I haven't adjusted this at all. It might be at its worst, it might be at its best, but let's just see what happens when I rotate the ring here. Well, it looks like right there would be what you might call the sweet spot. Now we're going to have to increase the brightness of the area there. In other words, open the lens up a little bit. And those people you see walking by, they must be out 3-4 hours a day. They just love walking. Anyway, all right, let's open the lens up just a little bit here. Okay, I would say that I've opened it up 2 full stops overexposed. And I would think that our ship is probably exposed just right. I mean, it's the ship that we want to get, right? Okay, now let's turn our polarizing filter here. Okay, I would say that's its worst. Yeah, I guess that would be about the best. Makes a difference. I'll go the other way, all the way around. Okay, now wasn't that fun? Okay, as you can see, I've taken the polarizing filter off, and I'm going to put what I call my normal zoom lens on. It sort of takes over from where this lens leaves off, and it goes from 24 millimeters wide angle up to 120, sort of a weak telephoto. 120, it'd be like about, I'm guessing 2.5 power, because 50 is what you would call normal. Anyway, yeah, and this filter will fit 3 of the lenses I've got. Now this lens already has a filter on it, a UV filter just to protect the lens. So I'm going to take it off, and we'll just switch here. I don't know if the two excuse me, if the two filters will have a bad reaction with each other or not. Okay, it's seated in place there. It's a little bit dusty, but not too bad. Okay, let's stick it on. Now, my very first SLR I got in late 1964 or early 65. And it had a, when you unscrewed the lens, and you actually unscrewed it, it wasn't a bayonet mount, you turned it to the left. It took me a long time to get used to this Nikon system where you turn it to the right to unlock it. I don't know why Nikon went that way. I don't think any of the other major brands do. Now to put it on, you just lock it to the left. Okay, let's swing this thing around and point it at the ship and see if we can, you know, what it's going to do. Oh, I'm not going to be at 35 millimeter like I was with this lens here. I'm going to move in. It'll probably be around 70, I'm just guessing. Okay, we are set at 85 millimeter f/16 so that the outside reflection will be reasonably sharp, and the auto ISO has cranked itself up to 4500, which is pretty high. However, this camera does do a very nice job at high ISO. I think I might have mentioned that before. And right now our reflection is probably about as bad as it can get. So let's just see how good we can get it. I shouldn't need to adjust the exposure or override the exposure, let's put it that way. Okay, I would say that is the sweet spot. That's what a polarizing filter does. Okay, so much for this is going to be a short episode. Well, when I said that, I didn't know that I was going to be starting to fool around with polarizing filters and stuff like that. But what I want to do now is make a little thing, just that I can fasten in here, just to hold the bottom in. It wouldn't fall out or anything, but I think it might be just a good idea, just in case, you know, maybe a kid was to hook something in behind there and pull on it. I suppose it is possible they could pull it out enough that the thing could fall down. And it's heavy, and it would cut your toes off if you had your toes underneath there. Anyway, yeah. Now this is a piece of scrap that I got from downstairs sitting on my table saw from when we cut up those half-inch square pieces to go around the outside of the plexiglass. And I'm going to just use this. But before I drill the hole in this, I sanded it beveled like that. I'm going to just reinforce the ends with some CA thin here. And that way it's not going to be as likely to split when I drill the hole through it and the screw is putting stress on it. At least that's the plan. Now I think if I'm smart here, I'm going to set this on a little tray. Otherwise it's going to run down into my brown cloth. And I think I've already done that once right here. It feels like CA glue. Alright. Let's slip on the macro lens for old time's sake and watch it absorb into the end of the grain there. Now I had a really nice cross breeze blowing through the house here from one end to the other. And I was noticing it was starting to get kind of muggy. And I looked outside and my goodness, it's clouded over. So I have since closed my windows here, which means I'm not going to get the fumes from this evacuating like they were. So I'm going to want to be careful not to be breathing this in, because well, I don't think it can be good for you. Okay, we'll just let that run at time lapse now. Well, this has not worked out the way I thought it would. I had thought that that was going to just absorb right into the end grain and disappear down in there, but I believe it's still liquid. Let's just maybe remove a little bit. And it could be that this CA is getting old, I don't know. Although I did see fumes coming off. In fact, I was blowing them away from the camera because I noticed they were kind of coming up around the lens. Yeah, I think we've pretty much got it now. We'll leave it for a couple of more minutes and see what happens. I was just thinking maybe I'll adjust the light different here. Move my coffee cup, swing this around. Yeah, that's sort of bringing it out, isn't it? Okay, now we'll let it run. Well, nothing much seems to be happening. Is it hard or? I don't think so. Oops. There, did I get it back for you? You know what? Let's try some curing agent. Okay, let's check it out here. Is it going to stick to my finger? I don't think so. I think it looks wet, but I think that's, I think it's hard. Okay, I'm going to do the other side much the same way. Anyway, that was kind of interesting. Okay, I've got the other end done now. I realize that it looks like it's wet, but it's not. Should be safe to handle. Now this is going to be the underside, and there's going to be a screw protruding through right about right here. So I'm not going to saturate it like I did before. I mean, I put on way too much. Just let's sort of get just a little bit on here. That's a little bit. I'll have to readjust everything. I accidentally moved it. Now I have run out of curing agent. How are we doing here? I think we're good. Okay, let's drill a hole. I don't think I need to put any on this side here. Okay, I realized I said I wasn't going to put any on this side, but I did. Now, this is the screw that I want to go through. And being as it's going to be going at an angle like this, I know you probably couldn't see that, I'm probably going to have, so that it doesn't come out, you know, on the other corner and hit the plexiglass, I want to have the hole back of center, probably about, maybe that's too much, just a little bit back of center here, something like that. And I do believe that this large head will not hang over the edge, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to put it in place on the case. I gotta quit poking stuff here. Keep poking it out of the scene, and then drill the hole in here, and then right down through the other side, and into the case, the shelf of the case. In that way, I know everything's going to line up right. Okay, so we want the first hole to just accommodate the shank here, and because you want the threads to bite in. Okay, so it'll be about right. So in other words, it has to be a little bit smaller than the diameter of the threads here. I guess I could have done it this way too. Okay, I'm just going to eyeball the center here. I'll just put it right in between these two supports for probably the hood. I imagine the hood will be on the bottom eventually. I think the Bismarck will be on the top, hood on the bottom, and the Rodney in the middle. Alright, now I want to go in at right angles to this surface right here. Guess I'm going to have to re-vacuum. Okay, now this hole right here, I'll enlarge it to accommodate the threads. Okay, now this is the bit that we just used. And this one here is just slightly larger than the diameter of the threads. So I don't need to worry about the threads wanting to split this. At least that's the plan. I'm going to try not to get my fingers in your way because I know that none of you know how to drill a hole. Okay, now what I'm planning to do is I'm going to use CA thin inside that hole as well. Seems to me I recommended this system to one of the viewers. Yeah, it was Mark in Australia. Okay, so I'm going to just reinforce that now. And the whole idea is that the CA glue is going to make this thing probably, I'm guessing 5 to 10 times stronger than it normally would be. Okay, now naturally this is not going to be as strong as a piece of plastic or something like that. But like I say, it's going to be a lot stronger than it otherwise would have been. Just let it wick its way down. Oh, don't want to get it on my fingers. I can see that it's on the inside there. Oh, I got too much on, but okay, let's not touch my fingers with that now. Alright, we'll let that cure. And we should have a fairly strong little piece of wood there. Okay, now it looks like I got a little piece of sawdust or something that got itself CA'd into place there. This whole thing is dry now. And I think that probably the head of this screw is gonna, yeah, it almost covers it, so no one's gonna see that anyway. Definitely they're not gonna see that. Okay, I didn't drill the hole exactly straight, but it's, you know, like I know it's supposed to be at an angle going in, so like this. That's okay, coming this way. Anyway, let's go try this out. Much better. Okay, now we just have to paint it white, and that shouldn't be too hard, but that's going to be tomorrow. You know, I was just thinking, there's probably no reason why we're going to have to take this plexiglass off again until, you know, we put the hood in place. Anyway, let's get this back off, and in the meantime, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.